First up, Amber displaying contempt. Court TV spoke with body language expert Janine Driver to speak about all the small details that she noticed while watching the trial. When speaking about things that people at home might have missed, Driver said that Amber was displaying signs of contempt. Contempt is a pattern of attitudes and behavior, often towards an individual or group, but sometimes toward an ideology, which is the characteristics of disgust and anger. When talking about signs of contempt, Driver said, quote, "It's on the left side of her face right there. It's moral superiority, and it's out of place, especially for a battered woman. I work with battered women, they're not leaking contempt." The expert continued that signs of contempt were shown in other women like Casey Anthony and Jodi Arias, who the public were convinced did horrible acts and were hiding the truth. Driver continued, quote, "The bigger the audience, the more often we will see contempt, and we're seeing it every single day on Amber Heard's face, never once on Johnny Depp's face." Contempt is one of the 7 universal emotions that cannot be hidden on a person's face, so it's giving us a true window into what's happened in her mind. Next up, Johnny Depp hand movements. One body language expert noted that Depp might have been deceptive during his testimony about hurting his finger. When he was on the stand to testify about when he allegedly put his hand through a wall out of anger, Depp denied this and told a different version of events, claiming his finger was hurt after Heard threw a bottle at him. However, the body language expert notes that the large pauses he had while telling the story is concerning and might signify that he is trying to piece together a story rather than the truth. Although it's normal to be careful with words during a trial, the expert noted deceptive behavior and a quote, condescending smirk, face touching, and grooming by running his hand through his hair. He also frequently blocked his mouth. This all contributed to him being a quote, charming storyteller. He also injected emotion into his retelling of events to connect to his audience even more. The expert believes that Depp 100% punched a wall, but that he told the truth when he didn't sustain his finger injury at the time. Johnny smiling in court. During the trial, we have seen Johnny smile or smirk during intense or uncomfortable moments. Expert Janine Driver explained how this can be tied back to the childhood abuse Johnny faced when he was younger, something Johnny testified about during the trial. When speaking about the science behind it, Driver said, quote, "When people feel weak or vulnerable or emasculated, they'll often smile in those moments," adding, quote, "It's a way to not let us see how much suffering they're in. It becomes a defense mechanism that people will use throughout their life. I'm sure Johnny Depp has been doing this for years. This smile right here is saying I'm uncomfortable." First up, we got James Franco. Actor James Franco is one of the many witnesses that will be called to the stand on behalf of Amber Heard. The pair first met on the set of the 2008 movie Pineapple Express, where they developed a friendship. That movie was one of the first in her career. According to People, Amber confided in James after an alleged physical altercation with Johnny. While Depp was on the stand talking about the breakdown of his marriage with Heard, he brought up Heard's relationship with Franco and how he believed that she was cheating on him. Along with meeting during the making of Pineapple Express, the pair also worked together on the 2015 movie The Adderall Diaries. Depp claimed he became suspicious of the pair's interactions during a scene he believed that Heard was having an affair. Johnny even admitted that he once confronted Amber about her relationship with James Franco. While the couple was on a flight from Boston to LA, Johnny decided to confront Amber about allegations that she was cheating with Franco. Later, a recording was played by Heard's defense, where Depp was heard saying, quote, "I became irrational when you're doing movies. I become jealous and effing weird, and we fight a lot more." Depp also admitted to being insecure while with Amber, as he stated that he got jealous when Heard would go out with other people. James Franco has been long connected to Amber and her messy divorce, but has never made any public statements about where he stands, although we can assume that he supports her, as they started dating while Amber accused Depp of a Even though Heard denied having a relationship with Franco, that was deemed to be a lie when camera footage of Franco and Heard in an elevator were leaked. Heard brought Franco to her and Johnny's LA penthouse while Depp was away. Franco didn't give evidence or a witness statement, but Heard described the visit in May of 2016. She claimed that she had facial injuries after Depp threw a phone at her after he found feces in their marital bed, which Depp claimed she was responsible for, and we now know that Amber Heard was. With Heard saying in court that Franco made a comment about the bruises on her face, saying, quote, "Oh my god, what happened to you? He saw my face when I let him in, he saw my face and said, what the?" Franco was also asked to testify for Johnny's case because Depp and his team want to confirm that Franco saw bruises on Heard's face when they met up that night. Although Franco agreed to testify, he stated his words must be kept secret, and if they leaked, Depp would be personally responsible. Hopefully we get the full story when Franco is put on the stand in the coming weeks.
Number 10. Penelope Cruz. Penelope Cruz, the woman known best for her roles in movies like Vanilla Sky and tons of Spanish-speaking films. She was also Johnny Depp's co-worker in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. She played Angelica, the daughter of Blackbeard, and she is super outspoken about her support for Johnny Depp. In their statement about the issue, she said, quote, "I've always been impressed by his kindness, his brilliant mind, his talent, and his peculiar sense of humor. I've seen Johnny in so many situations, and he is always kind to everyone around. He's one of the most generous people I know. During 6 months of my first pregnancy, I spent every single day with him while we shot Pirates of the Caribbean. My husband and I will never forget the sweetness, protection, and kindness he treated me with during every single step of that process. We love him very much, and I feel lucky to have someone so special in our lives." She hasn't fully gone against Amber Heard, but I think it's pretty clear just where her loyalties lie in this matter.
Amber touches her face. While Amber was listening to an audio recording in court, the body language expert observed that Amber touched her face a lot. The expert told viewers that when anyone's levels of stress and anxiety are increased, one of the ways our body deals with it is by touching our face. Continuing, quote, "It's like recharging your cell phone. It does a cognitive reset, and it does an emotional reset." Amber specifically touched her face on her forehead, which is significant to the body language expert. Touching the forehead is an indicator of shame, and since the audio recording was making Amber look bad, it makes sense she would feel shame. Even though Amber touched her face quite a bit, the expert noted that Amber never showed any, quote, "microaggressions of sadness throughout her eyebrows or corners of her lip, as one would expect in a trial like this." When the expert was asked about the audio recordings, Driver said the recordings should be thrown out of court, adding, quote, "Of course she's going to be whistling Dixie saying good things in these audio recordings, most of them. Who knows, she could be acting. This does not prove she is a battered woman, like the article said in the Washington Post." Next up, Elon Musk. Elon Musk is another celebrity who is testifying on behalf of Amber Heard during her trial because they had a relationship around the time that Amber was accusing Johnny of getting physical with her. The reason Elon has been dragged into this case is because Johnny accused him of having an affair with Amber back in 2020. The accusation was enough to make major headlines at the time. It was never confirmed if the pair cheated or not, but it's clear that Amber and Elon had a romantic relationship. Elon and Amber started dating in the summer of 2016 and were spotted out multiple times in London. In August of 2017, it was reported that Elon had ended their year-long romance. The pair got back together months later, but called it quits yet again months later. A source told Mail at the time, quote, "It's all over between Amber and Elon and she's devastated. It was his decision." Apparently the timing between the two was not right. Another source confirmed the breakup and also confirmed that it was Elon's decision to end things. The pair cited their conflicting schedules as what kept them apart. Later, Musk admitted that he was heartbroken from the breakup and even claimed that Heard was more so responsible for the split, revealing, quote, "I was really in love and it hurt bad. Well, she broke up with me more than I broke up with her, I think." Musk claimed after the split that he was so heartbroken, he hardly made it through the launch of the Tesla Model 3 event. Adding, quote, "It took every ounce of will to be able to do the Model 3 event and not look like the most depressed guy around. For most of that day, I was morbid." Along with having a romantic relationship with Heard, Johnny Depp alleged in court documents that Elon had a, quote, "three-way affair with Heard and model actress Cara Delevingne at Depp's and Heard's apartment in Los Angeles in 2016, while Depp was away in Australia. Although Musk denied this allegation and called Delevingne a friend. Musk has admitted to having dated Heard, but only after she filed for divorce from Depp. When asked about their relationship, Musk further stated, quote, "Also, I wish to confirm again that Amber and I only started going out about a month after her divorce filing. I don't think I was ever even in the vicinity of Amber during their marriage." It's hard to know if there's any more information that Musk has that could be useful to either Depp or Heard, but again, we will be finding out shortly in court.
Number 10. Mildred Pierce. During Amber's testimony, she begins speaking emotionally about the times that Johnny Depp allegedly hit her. At one point in her speech, Amber said that Johnny slapped her and then said, quote, "He'd rather cut off his hand." That line in particular is directly out of the movie Mildred Pierce after she slaps another character named Vita. Many people believe that this was a line stolen directly from the 1945 film, a drama about a woman whose husband leaves her for another woman. In this film, there's a scene where Mildred, the mother of two daughters, slaps one of her daughter in the heat of the moment after the daughter is angry that Mildred degraded their social status by not remarrying. After she slaps her daughter, Mildred immediately apologizes and states, quote, "I'm so sorry I did that, I'd rather cut off my hand." The lines are definitely similar, but honestly, I can see this one being kind of a stretch given how minuscule and off the cuff it was. Number 9. Notting Hill. Also during Amber's testimony, she spoke about the first time she had met Johnny Depp on the set of their movie. She also describes how the two would fall in love with each other. During this time, Johnny was sober, and to replace his habitual alcohol intake, he drank tea instead. Tons and tons of tea. If you're listening to the trial, the amount of times that she mentions how much he loves tea may have struck you as odd. Many on the internet pointed the similarity to the romantic comedy Notting Hill. It's similar to a line that Julia Roberts says to Hugh Grant about, quote, he drinks lots of tea. Others think the way that she seemed to mimic Julia Roberts in the tea scene may have been done so to make her appear more lovable and believable. Number 8, I am a killer. Also during her testimony, Amber spoke about how Johnny was around another woman and they were all under the influence of different substances at the time. Amber claims that the woman laid her head on Amber's shoulder and it, for some reason, set Johnny off. She went on to allege that Johnny then grabbed this woman's wrist, twisted it, and pulled her towards him. Amber then claims that he said, quote, do you know how many pounds of pressure it takes to break a human wrist? She goes on to say that Johnny held the woman and she was frozen in his grip. Many people have claimed that this line that she claims that he said is actually a line directly from the Netflix series I Am a Killer. The person in the scene says, quote, do you know how much it takes to break a human hand? The series in question documents the life of a woman with a life sentence in prison for taking the life of her husband in extremely brutal and gruesome ways after he broke her hands.
And at number 7, stole lines from the talented Mr. Ripley. Another claim that went wild on social media was that Amber Heard copied the main stories from her testimony from TV shows and movies. At one point, a side-by-side comparison of her transcript compared to the script from the talented Mr. Ripley was posted on Twitter, making it seem like she copied the movie script word for word. But when you actually compare the lines from the movie and what Amber said, you can see that it's not a direct copy like it was claimed. If anything, the storytelling is very similar, but that could just be a coincidence. Depending on what side you're on in this case, you'll probably see what you want to see, but it's not nearly as compelling as the internet made it seem before.
Number 6, True Detective. This moment is very similar to the one mentioned before where she seemed to quote the series I Am a Killer. It's in reference to the part in Amber's testimony where she begins telling the story of when Johnny Depp became aggressive while they were on a flight. Amber claimed that Johnny got into an altercation with a flight attendant, grabbed her wrist, slammed it down, and said something similar to both True Detective and I Am a Killer about how it only takes a few pounds of pressure to break her wrist. One Twitter user was very quick to point out the similarities between this testimony piece and a scene in the show True Detective, particularly in season 1 when one character states a line extremely similar to the one in I Am a Killer and to Amber's allegations. While I tend to be critical and hesitant towards this whole debacle in general, I do think it's a little odd that if Johnny harmed a flight attendant, why hasn't she spoken out at all, or even stated anything as a witness? I mean, if he's slamming wrists, there's a whole flight of people to corroborate that kind of situation.
Halfway number 5, Heard copying Depp's outfits. One strange thing that has been noticed during the trial is that Amber seems to copy Johnny's outfits in court. Dr. Shannon Curry took the witness stand and testified that she diagnosed Amber Heard with 2 personality disorders, one that could cause her to mimic her ex-husband Johnny Depp's wardrobe choices. Dr. Curry claimed that Amber's disorder may cause her to, quote, take on the identity of the people they are spending time with because it's comforting. This testimony came at an interesting time because fans have been pointing out that Heard seems to copy whatever Depp wears in court. One fan on Twitter wrote, quote, when Johnny wore a gray suit, the next day she wore the same thing. Then he wore a Gucci ensemble, and then she wore it the next day. If the public noticed this was a pattern, Heard's lawyers should have immediately stepped in and told her to stop wearing them.
Number 4, Alpha Dog. In our number 4 spot is the movie Alpha Dog. This one is more of a theory in relation to the trial rather than a direct movie quote, but it's definitely worth noting for a full scope of what is exactly going down. So we have all heard the story of the poo on the bed at this point. If you haven't, it's basically alleged that Amber had left feces on Johnny's bed. While she claims it was her dogs that did so, it's pretty apparent that it belonged to a human. There's a theory that this entire move was a scene from the film Alpha Dog, a movie that Amber herself was in. In the scene, one of the characters, who is under the influence, defecates on his enemy's rug in revenge. It's certainly extremely cinematic if it is a movie reference.
And at number 3, Heard copying Depp's outfits. One strange thing that's been noticed during the trial is that Amber seems to copy Johnny's outfits in court. Dr. Shannon Curry took the witness stand and testified that she diagnosed Amber Heard with 2 personality disorders, and one could cause her to mimic her ex-husband Johnny Depp's wardrobe choices. Dr. Curry claimed that Amber's disorder may cause her to, quote, take on the identity of the people they are spending time with because it's comforting. At that point, fans already started to notice that she was copying Depp's outfits, with some believing it's a tactic to intimidate him. Many fans on Twitter are pointing out the strange coincidence, pointing out how Heard will copy the color and style of whatever Depp wears the next day.
Number 2, White Chicks. Next up is the comedy White Chicks. During Amber's first day of testimony, she told a horrifying story where she alleged that she had to call Johnny's sister to help remove him from their home. But as they were all driving in the car, Johnny allegedly started howling out the window, grabs Boo, his dog, a teacup Yorkie, and holds Boo out the window of the moving car. He's howling like an animal while holding their dog out of the car. But people seem to think that this scene was taken straight out of the comedy movie White Chicks. In the movie scene, a teacup Yorkie flies out of the window of a moving vehicle and is only being held onto by a leash. But there's also an Instagram photo that has since surfaced of Amber Heard letting the dog out of the car window. I honestly think this one's definitely a stretch, but you know, what do I know, I'm just some rando on the internet. Number 1, the talented Mr. Ripley. I saved this one for last because it seems to be the most credible moment of Amber actually referencing a movie. It is said during Amber Heard's opening statements when she seemed to directly quote the film wherein a man arrives, showers people with gifts, and then seemingly disappears. The quote people are referencing states, quote, "The thing with Dickie, it's like the sun shines on you and it's glorious, and then he forgets you and it's very, very cold. When you have his attention, you feel like you're the only person in the world. That's why everybody loves him so much." Now, Amber didn't directly say these words exactly, but she does say something eerily similar. When describing her attraction towards Johnny, she talks about how when he was with her, Johnny had a warm glow about him, showered her with gifts, and made her feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. They would be in this bubble for 4 to 5 days at a time before it would suddenly disappear and this monster would take its place. Number 9, Javier Bardem. Now on to Penelope Cruz's husband, Javier Bardem. He revealed back in March 2020 during one of the previous court cases that his allegiance lies stoutly with Johnny Depp. They had previously worked together on a movie called Before Night Falls and again in Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. In a statement, he said, quote, "I stand by Johnny because I have always seen and felt a true caring and loving man in him. He's an extraordinary and unique artist who has listened to anyone who needed help. I not only love Johnny but respect him deeply and thank him for being the free and careless little boy he is in his art and the mature and loving man he is in the lives of others. He's always there when we need him. I love Johnny because he is a good human being, trapped in the lies and manipulations of toxic beings and yet smiling and loving us all in spite of it." How? Through his music, through his acting, through his silence. This means a lot. Thank you, Johnny. Millions of others like me love you deeply. Coming in at number 8 is Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder dated Johnny Depp for 4 years from 1989 to 1993. Having known him for so long, she felt inclined to give a statement on the conflict. Quote, "I understand that it is very important that I speak from my own experience, as I obviously was not there during his marriage to Amber, but from my experience, which was so widely different, I was absolutely shocked, confused, and upset when I heard the accusations against him. The idea that he is an incredibly harmful person is the furthest thing from the Johnny I knew and loved. I cannot wrap my head around these accusations. He has never physically hurt anybody I have seen. I truly and honestly only know him as a really good man. He's an incredibly loving, extremely caring guy who was so very protective of me and the people that he loves, and I felt so very, very safe with him." While she also didn't come out against Amber Heard, she did explain her sense of disbelief at the idea of Johnny ever hurting anyone. Number 7 is Vanessa Paradis. Vanessa Paradis is Johnny Depp's ex-wife, who is also a famous French singer. The two have 2 children together and were together for 25 years. Although they divorced in 2012, she was quick to come to the defense of her ex-husband, who is a supportive co-parent. Quote, "I have known Johnny Depp for more than 25 years. We've been partners for 14 years, and we raised our 2 children together. Through all these years, I've known Johnny to be a kind, attentive, generous, and non-violent person and father. I am aware of the allegations which Amber Heard has publicly accused Johnny of for more than 4 years now. This is nothing like the true Johnny I have known, and from my personal experience of many years, I can say he was never harmful towards me." Her statement is eloquent and straight to the point, and for someone who also had a falling out with the man, she still holds such a high viewpoint of the actor. So what does that say? Next up is Kevin McNally, Johnny Depp's co-star who played Gibbs in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Although it's extremely unlikely that he will show up in court to testify for Johnny Depp, once rumors surfaced that Depp was to step down as Jack Sparrow, he stated, stated, quote, "My dream is that some sort of link will be needed between what has been before and whatever bizarre incarnation of what there is to come. But I sincerely think that my fate is so tied in with Johnny's that I will go with him if indeed he does go," which is a really beautiful thing to say about someone. Next up on the list is David Yates. David is the director of the Fantastic Beasts series, a spin-off of Harry Potter that used to star Johnny Depp as one of the villains. Johnny was fired from his role after the allegations surfaced from Amber Heard when she wrote the article that she had been harmed by someone. Although not named, we all know who she was referring to. Anyways, he released a statement saying, quote, "Honestly, there's an issue at the moment where there's a lot of people being accused of things. They're being accused by multiple victims, and it's compelling and frightening. With Johnny, it seems to me there was one person who took a pop at him and claimed something. I can only tell you about the man I see every day. He's full of decency and kindness, and that's all I see. Whatever accusation was out there doesn't tally with the kind of human being I've been working with." Coming in at number 4 is J.K. Rowling. Okay, J.K. Rowling isn't really in anyone's good graces lately for various extremely valid reasons, but she did show a statement of support for Johnny Depp after he was initially hired for his role in the Fantastic Beasts franchise that she had written. Despite receiving a lot of backlash for the decision to hire him, the Harry Potter author stated, quote, "For me personally, the inability to speak openly to fans about this issue has been difficult, frustrating, and at times painful. However, the agreements that have been put in place to protect the privacy of two people, both of whom have expressed a desire to get on with their lives, must be respected. Based on our understanding of the circumstances, the filmmakers and I are not only comfortable sticking with our original casting, but genuinely happy to have Johnny playing a major character in the movies." Glad that worked out. Coming in at number 3 is Sia. Basically zero chance that she'll show up in court, but Sia is next on the list of celebrities who have been extremely outspoken in supporting Johnny Depp. In a tweet speaking about the matter, she stated, quote, "Just showing my public support for Johnny Depp. I mean, I'd love him to get clean and stop with the jewelry, but he is clearly the victim after hearing those tapes." Fair enough on the jewelry aspect, sometimes it's a bit tacky. Coming in at number 2 is Sharon Osbourne. Another famous celebrity who left a show of support for Johnny Depp is the wife of Ozzy Osbourne and British television personality Sharon Osbourne. During an appearance on a talk show aptly named The Talk, Sharon stated, quote, "It takes two to tango. I think that they had a very vulnerable relationship. I think they're both as bad as each other. She gave him as good as she got. It wasn't just like a little mouse in the corner being battered. I don't know what they were using. I have no idea who was doing what, but I know they were both drinking and it's a volatile relationship." Next on my list is an actor who is confirmed to be called to testify for his part in the aggressive texts that he and Johnny had exchanged about Amber Heard and the horrifying things they would do to her body. Paul Bettany co-starred with Johnny for the 2010 movie The Tourist. They also worked together on Transcendence and Mordecai. Having worked together on several films, the two quickly became super close friends. Initially, he tweeted, quote, "Known Johnny Depp for years and through several relationships. He's the sweetest, kindest, gentlest man that I've ever known. Just saying." Apparently, during the reading of the texts about Amber between the two actors, Paul felt ashamed of what he said and attempted to distance himself from the couple, which, like, man, if you're gonna say that stuff, at least own it fully. Don't shy away from it.
In at number 10, lawyer objects to own question. Easily the most embarrassing moment from one of Heard's lawyers was when he objected to his own question. Attorney Adam Nadelhaft made a huge error while he was asking questions about a fight that left Johnny with a severed finger. While the lawyer was questioning Ben King, Depp's house manager, he asked, quote, "You didn't know what could cause damage to Mr. Depp's hand while you were there on March 8th, correct?" King answered the question by stating a doctor told him that Depp sustained an injury to one of his fingers. Then, in an attempt to stop King from continuing his testimony, the lawyer objected, saying, objection, hearsay?" For a moment everyone was confused until the judge stated, quote, "Wait, you asked the question, next question." Awkward. And at number 9, can't do math. One of the funniest moments captured was not actually during the trial, but it was to do with the pre-trial details to be sorted out. The judge was on the stand telling each side how much time they will have in court, stating that once they go over time she'll have to stop them regardless of the line of questioning. At one point she breaks down the exact hours and minutes each side still has in court, and for some reason Amber Heard's lawyers kind of object and make it seem like the math does not add up. The judge then breaks down the math and asks the lawyer if she got a different number. After a very awkward silence, someone comes in and lets the judge know that her math adds up. The caption on the video reads, quote, "Judge Penny Ascart has the patience of an actual actual saint. Amber Heard legal team failing to do basic math. And at number 8, Milani Cosmetics contradicts Amber's lawyer. During her trial, Amber Heard's lawyer stated that Amber would walk around with makeup constantly in case she ever needed to cover a bruise that Johnny had given her. In court, the lawyer held up Milani Cosmetics' all-in-one correcting kit while telling the jury how Heard concealed alleged bruises on her face. Although it's important, the lawyer never claimed that Heard uses that specific product. During the trial, her lawyer held up the makeup and said, quote, "This is what Amber carried in her purse for the entire relationship with Johnny Depp. She's an actor. Do you honestly think she would have left her apartment ever without makeup? Do you think she would ever have wanted other people to see her bruises and cuts? This is what she used. She became very adept to it." Milani clapped back in a TikTok video, showing that the product held up in court was not released until 2017, 1 year after Heard filed for divorce. So there's no way that Heard could have been covering up her bruises with that makeup. A source close to Heard told People, quote, "Heard's lawyer was using an example of the kind of makeup that she used."
Number 7, Shrek 2. Listen, I know this one is definitely most likely total crap, sue me. It's a bit on the satire side, but we all know Reddit. They would psychoanalyze a goldfish if they could. This moment in the trial was kind of similar to a moment in the DreamWorks movie Shrek 2. In the movie itself, Prince Charming is looking around a destroyed room and saying, "Whoa, whoa, what happened here?" In a TikTok clip that was posted to Reddit, it quickly clips to Amber, who says the exact same thing in almost the exact same way that Prince Charming does. Listen, if you ask my opinion, there's no way she stole from Shrek 2, let's be real here. It is a little funny though.
In at number 6, Kate Moss questioning. Last week while Heard was testifying, she was recalling an incident where Johnny allegedly got physical with her sister Whitney, and during the testimony she brought up model Kate Moss, to which Depp's team celebrated. Kate Moss and Depp used to date decades ago when they were both very young, and Heard alleged that Johnny also got physical with Moss while they were together, specifically claimed that he pushed Moss down a flight of stairs. In court, Heard said about her sister's altercation with Johnny in 2015, quote, "She threw herself in the line of fire. She was trying to get Johnny to stop, her back was to the staircase, and Johnny swings at her. I don't hesitate and wait, I instantly think of Kate Moss and stairs." Court footage then showed Depp's lawyers quietly celebrating after Heard mentions Kate Moss. We can assume that the court did not allow evidence or testimony from Moss to be allowed, but now that Heard has opened the door to the altercation, Moss might be asked to testify. Since Johnny clearly does not agree this altercation with Moss happened, Depp's team believes it will once again prove Amber's lies. Halfway at number 5, forces herself to cry. While Amber was on the stand, she was talking about some very traumatic moments in her past and getting somewhat emotional. At some points it looked like she was getting over-emotional in an attempt to make herself cry. For the longest time, it did not work, and she looked like she was in pain trying to get herself to cry for the jury. Many online were joking that it was the best acting performance she'd given in her life. And at number 4, pathetic attempt to discredit Johnny. During one portion of the trial, Johnny Depp was on the stand and Amber Heard's lawyers could ask him whatever they wanted. At one point, the lawyer tried to make a point about Depp's damaged reputation, giving Depp a number of headlines to read, with them all painting a picture of Depp as out of control. The articles called him in crisis, claimed he was losing money, and also claimed his addiction to drinking was ruining his life. The lawyer read a number of these headlines until Depp himself pointed out that all of these sites are trashy gossip sites and they do not print the truth. Depp even called his line of questioning a quote, pathetic attempt. Near the end of the clip, we see Depp start to make fun of these articles, and the lawyers were trying to paint them as real evidence.
Number 3, Made. Someone on Twitter pointed out a similarity in Amber's testimony to Made, when Amber was detailing an alleged instance where Johnny Depp threw a glass at Amber, then punched a wall, and then punched a wall right next to Amber. According to the people who had seen the Netflix show, which is about a woman who is fleeing a horrible relationship to provide a better life for her children, it is said that this scene is actually word for word in the show. While it's definitely possible that real life can absolutely align with television, I think a lot of people are more suspicious than they normally would be given all the examples of Amber seemingly quoting things left, right, and center.
And at number 2, asked inappropriate questions. Of course, it's a lawyer's job to get down to the truth, so it's not out of the question to assume some uncomfortable questions are asked. At one point, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were living in Australia while Depp was filming a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and Amber alleged that Depp tried to urinate in the foyer of her house. Depp's bodyguard Malcolm Connolly was on the stand, and during cross-examination, Heard's team asked him if he witnessed Depp urinating in the foyer of their residence at the time. Connolly confirmed he heard noises inside the home, and that when he entered, he saw Depp in the foyer. When pushed again to answer, the bodyguard said no, he did not see him try to urinate, prompting those in the courtroom to laugh, including Depp. The lawyer then continued, quote, "Mr. Depp had his out, didn't he?" before being interrupted by an objection. The bodyguard denied it and claimed he would have remembered if he saw it. Depp then tried to contain his laughter. And finally, number 1, stupid objections. I talked before about how Heard's lawyers object to ridiculous things, but this is probably the most insane. So I assume that everyone knows that Johnny Depp's most well-known role is playing Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean, but maybe Amber Heard's lawyers did not know that. During a line of questioning, Heard's lawyers were speaking to some sort of studio executive or talent manager, and they were speaking of the 6th movie in the franchise. Depp was set to play the lead role in that movie like he had for the 5 before it, but he was cut from the movie in the midst of the Amber Heard drama. When Depp's lawyers asked the witness what role Depp would play in the 6th movie, Heard's lawyers objected, citing hearsay. Are we surprised? The judge allowed the question, and the answer was none other than Captain Jack Sparrow. Again, are we surprised? Like, we know that's who he plays. Amber Heard looks turtled. YouTube channel The Behavioral Arts did an entire video on some of the body language that's been displayed during the trial. When specifically talking about Amber, they claim that Amber looked, quote, turtled during the trial, like she was trying to draw less attention to herself and look smaller. The expert explains that this is a defense mechanism when people feel insecure. She also showcases stress in key areas of her chin and forehead. They also noticed that Amber was giving, quote, non-answer statements when testifying. When watching a portion of the trial, the host notes that Amber has shifty eyes when someone is talking to her. One reason for this could be a condescending lack of interest, with it signaling that the person who is speaking to her is not important enough. Heard has defensive body language. During the trial, the body language expert noticed that Heard seemed very aggressive, which is interesting because it's not normally an emotion that would be seen in a domestic harm case. At one point, Heard started to aggressively scratch her shoulders so fast that she almost knocked off her microphone. When Heard's lawyers objected to some questions, Heard started looking down, showing that she was thinking of what to say next. Heard then danced around Depp's questioning, using a technique called speech disfluency. She stumbled over her words and also used fluff words like to stall time, and to think about what to say next. The expert also noted that when answering some questions, it seemed like she had rehearsed what to say. Since she's an actress, that makes a lot of sense. The expert noted she looked like she had, quote, forgotten her lines. Heard forgot key details while testifying. When Heard was describing some of the altercations she had with Johnny, the body language expert noted that Heard seemed to forget a lot of key details, including which parts of her body were specifically hurt when the bottle was allegedly thrown at her by Johnny. Heard was also fluttering her eyes, another deflection technique. The expert also emphasized that Heard minimizes some of her previously mentioned altercations to put further stress on others, trying to manipulate how things are being interpreted by listeners. Ellen Barkin is another celebrity who is taking the stand in the defense of Amber Heard. Barkin is an actress who briefly dated Depp many years ago and supports Heard's claims that he can get violent. Depp and Barkin worked together for a brief time in the 1990s, shortly after his split from Winona Ryder. When Barkin and Depp first met in 1998 on the set of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, he had just come out of a long-term relationship with Winona Ryder. After splitting from Ryder, Depp began seeing Barkin. They were at a pretty large age gap, with Barkin being 9 years older than Depp. In her deposition in support of Amber, Barkin claims that while she was dating Depp, they got in a fight and he ended up throwing a wine bottle at her, although Depp denies this. He claims the relationship was a casual one and Barkin wanted to be more serious, saying that he believed her accusations were due to a grudge. When speaking about their relationship, Depp recalled meeting her while making Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, adding, quote, "She wanted a proper relationship with me and I did not want that. I didn't feel the same about her as she did me, and I suppose from that moment on, she became very, very angry, and since then, I have not spoken to Miss Barkin, nor has Miss Barkin spoken to me." Obviously, if the story is true, it shows that Johnny has been violent with his partners in the past, and it would add more weight to Heard's allegations. Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington is a close friend of Amber Heard's that will be testifying in court that she witnessed bruises and cuts on Heard's body during her marriage to Depp. Deadline reported that Pennington's name was mentioned as Depp recounted a past confrontation with then-wife Heard. Pennington was also present on their wedding day. Pennington is involved in this case because she was neighbors with Heard and Depp while they were living in their downtown LA penthouse apartment. Pennington and Heard have been friends for almost 2 decades, with Pennington even testifying during Johnny Depp's libel case against the Sun newspaper in 2020. During the libel trial, Pennington said that she, quote, became really scared for Amber's life. Pennington also testified that Heard had, quote, deep lacerations from her wrists to her elbows, and the soles of her feet had numerous small cuts, adding that Heard still had scars on her arm from the incident. But Pennington did also state that she'd never actually seen Depp hit Heard, so there is some room to think that Amber Heard got these cuts and bruises from someone else other than Depp. And finally, Tassia Van Ray. When Depp first started to allege that Heard was the violent one in their relationship, not him, news that Heard had been violent towards a past partner went viral. While Heard was in a relationship with Tyson Ray, she was accused of physical harm in 2009. Heard was arrested by Port of Seattle police on September 14th of 2009 after the former couple got into an altercation at the airport. Apparently Heard grabbed and struck Van Ray's arm. Heard was arrested and then had to go in front of a judge the next day. In the end, prosecutors declined to press charges. Although years later, when the allegations again came to light, Van Ray defended Amber, claiming the altercation was not what was described by police. In a statement issued by Heard's publicist in 2016, Van Ray said that Heard had been, quote, wrongfully accused and that the entire incident had been blown out of proportion, claiming the cops had over-sensationalized what happened. Van Ray continued, quote, I recall hints of misogynistic attitudes towards us, which later appeared to be homophobic when they found out we were domestic partners and not just friends. When speaking about her feelings towards Amber at the time, she continued, quote, it's disheartening that Amber's integrity and story are being questioned yet again. Amber is a brilliant, honest, and beautiful woman, and I have the utmost respect for her. Although Depp's camp refuted these words, and they claim that many former partners of Amber's came forward to share that Heard with those partners in the past, clearly showing a pattern in her relationships. Heard and Van Ray had started dating in 2008 and later split in 2012, but still remained close friends, with Van Ray speaking out in defense of Amber during the trial. And at number 10, Heard looks like she's snorting something. While Amber Heard was on the stand, it was pretty emotional, so she had some tissues nearby to dry her tears if she got emotional. At one point she decided to blow her nose, but she did it in such a strange way that the internet believed she was actually doing something illegal. If you watch the video in slow motion, it looks like Amber uses the tissue to push something into her nose and then she snorts it. It doesn't look like she blows anything into the tissue, which is generally what they're used for. Theories then started brewing that Heard snorted a white substance into her nose, but many felt it was way too much of a stretch. Then a more probable theory started circulating that Amber snorted menthol, which is a common trick that makes actors cry, especially since under the circumstance, crying would help her case in trial. And at number 9, Amber afraid of Johnny Depp. During the shocking trial, the couple have not had any contact. On top of that, the pair also haven't made much eye contact, mostly because Depp refuses to look in Heard's direction. Recently, while Heard was getting off the stand, Johnny was approaching it, and there was an awkward moment where they were about to cross paths. When Heard seemed to notice that it was about to happen, she looked very startled, then walked away from him. Heard looked like she was physically shrinking and terrified, taking a step back as court officials immediately turned towards Depp and put their hands up, warning him to stay away. To make matters worse, moments before that, Heard had been testifying about Depp assaulting her with a bottle and threatening to take her life. So clearly emotions were running very high. During Heard's testimony, Depp was not paying attention, doodling and writing in a notebook. And at number 8, posed while on the stand. Another moment that's going viral online shows Amber Heard posing for a photo while on the stand. While she was talking about the time in her relationship when Johnny was detoxing, she had a tissue to her face and held it there until she saw the flash of a camera taking a picture. Even crazier, if you watch the whole clip, you can see that she doesn't even use this tissue, making it clear the whole thing was just for show. Body language expert Dr. Lillian Glass agrees, saying, quote, yes, she posed for sure. She had no liquid in her eyes or nose, and she never blew her nose, just put the Kleenex to her nose and kept it there. She snuck a peek at the camera to make sure they had the shot. Obviously, things like this do not make Amber Heard look good, and it makes it seem like she's doing everything possible to get good press. And at number 7, muffin questioning. During the trial, one of Johnny Depp's witnesses was a psychologist named Dr. Shannon Curry. Dr. Curry's job was to come and testify about the mental state of both of the parties and to determine any psychological issues either party possessed. During her testimony, she stated that Amber had multiple psychological issues and made Amber seem like the abusive party. So to get back at the doctor, Heard's lawyers tried to discredit her. At one point, the lawyers kept asking about was some muffins that Dr. Curry brought to the meeting with Amber. Since Dr. Curry's husband got these muffins, Heard's lawyers wanted to see if Dr. Curry told her husband that a confidential celebrity client, aka Amber, was coming to see her that day. After a long line of useless questioning, Dr. Curry cleared everything up, saying that her husband bought the muffins but he did not know who they were for. The lawyer was stunned and had to take a few moments to come up with a new question. And at number 6, inconsistencies in her story. Since the internet is mostly on Johnny Depp's side in things, after Amber Heard took the stand, the internet immediately started dissecting her testimony. Viral TikToks even show people acting out her retelling of events, and it makes literally no sense. In one TikTok, the audio hears Amber claiming that she was sitting on the edge of a couch, then she says how she was on the floor looking at how dirty the rug is, painting the picture that her version of events makes no sense. A tweet breaking down another event said, quote, I walked out of the bedroom and he slapped me in the face. I turned around to face him and I said, Johnny, you just hit me. The user pointed out that you can't be slapped by someone and then turn around to face them.
Number 5, the article. This is something that wasn't stolen from a movie or a book, but it is something that people have pointed out as being blatantly untruthful and in direct contrast to statements that she's made previously in court. Amber claimed during her testimony that prior to her relationship with Johnny, she wasn't a fan of his nor a fan of his art. But fans of Johnny's found an article from years ago. Her claim was directly seen as false. In the article itself, Amber claimed that when she was a teenager, she had photos of Johnny all over her room. A friend of hers had told the Inquirer that Johnny was basically Amber's first love. Quote, when she was a teenager, Amber had already decided to become an actress, and she had pictures of Johnny all over her room. So it's no surprise they fell in love while working together. Amber usually gets what she sets her mind to. Creepy.
And at number 4, ACLU donation. One of the worst cases of Amber Heard lying is in regards to her donations to the ACLU, since it's so easy to get to the truth. During her divorce proceedings, Amber went on record stating that she would donate the proceeds from her divorce to Children's Hospital of LA and the ACLU within 10 years. During the recent trial, the ACLU says that she gave them less than half of her $3.5 million pledge. An executive from the company, Terrence Doherty, said that the nonprofit received 4 donations in Amber's name so far, totaling only $1.3 million. Only $350,000 from her directly. Johnny Depp then wrote a check for $100,000, and Amber Heard asked for that money to be credited to her. The organization also says other payments included $500,000 from a donor-advised fund at Vanguard and $350,000 from a donor-advised fund at Fidelity. The ACLU believes a large portion of this money came from Elon Musk, Heard's former boyfriend. And at number 3, Depp calls out lawyers for hearsay comments. If you've watched even a little bit of this trial, you know that Amber Heard's lawyers love objecting on the grounds of hearsay. According to Cornell Law School, hearsay is an out-of-court statement offered to prove the truth of whatever it asserts. These statements are inadmissible as trial evidence because there's no actual proof to back them up. Basically, during the entire trial, anything that a person did not say or hear directly is objected to, and it gets a bit annoying after a while. And social media has been mocking her lawyers for the constant objections. While one of her lawyers were telling Depp to read off articles, the lawyer read one title saying, quote, "A year and a month before Amber published the op-ed, headline, Johnny Depp allegedly showed up drunk to movie premiere, reports say." Depp then quickly responded, quote, "Reports say, this is hearsay, is it not? Your favorite word." And at number 2, hides a water bottle. There might not be anything wrong with this one, but it's definitely strange. So while Amber Heard is in court, she's talking to her lawyers, and then she goes to unscrew a water bottle. Pretty normal stuff. But then one of the courtroom cops comes over and walks by, and for some reason Amber quickly screws the cap back on and hides it in her jacket pocket. This bizarre moment is leading some to believe that the contents of the bottle were definitely not water. The caption on the video read, quote, "Amber Heard and her deeply sus moment in court with her water bottle." And finally, number 1, hid a smile. There have been a few moments in court that have just not seemed to add up. A few involve Amber Heard laughing or hiding a smile either while she's testifying or while Johnny Depp is. A body language expert did an entire 30-minute video on this topic, breaking down one specific moment where Amber Heard's facade cracked, and she showed her true emotion. In the thumbnail he wrote, quote, "One smile exposed her." In the intro clip we see Johnny recalling a moment with Amber and he says, quote, "It just didn't happen." As the camera pans to Amber, we see a brief smirk that she quickly conceals. The expert notes in the video that he believes she bit the inside of her cheek to conceal the smile. She then blocks her mouth as a reflex to again hide her emotion. The expert continues that it's shocking that she would decide to laugh in that moment when she sees her former partner breaking down on the stand.